Way geekier, and today we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Let's be honest, this new Ant-Man movie absolutely bombed at the box office. For a movie that was so hyped up as this one was, following the success of season 1 of Loki and the introduction of Kang the Conqueror, it was a huge surprise to me for many reasons. As someone who loves to talk about superhero movies on the internet, you'd think that I'd be frontline for every new Marvel release. But after the release of, certain TV shows, She-Hulk, and the rising ticket prices here in Ghana, 150 CDs for the Paw Patrol movie, what the hell, Silverbird? It's very easy to see why most people, well, me in particular, have been very reluctant to see every new Marvel release which is coming out recently. Well, that was until I heard that Loki season 2 was coming out, so I decided, hey, why don't I just check out the new Ant-Man movie and then catch up on what the MCU or where the MCU is at this moment in time. I was expecting to be disappointed after so many bad reviews from people who actually saw the movie, but after sitting through 2 hours and 30 minutes of Ant-Man 3, I've got to say, it wasn't that bad. Could I even say that it was actually good? I'm aware so many people have actually not watched this film. So let me summarize it quickly so that you guys actually understand most of the things I'm going to talk about. So the movie begins with Scott Lang, doing Scott Lang things. Apparently he's a successful writer now, so that's cool, I guess. You guys remember that cute Cassie girl from the first Ant-Man movie who Darren tried to murder in her bedroom? Yeah, well, she's a criminal now. Yeah. And speaking of Darren, yeah, we'll talk about him later. You better believe that. So Cassie is a teenager now, and apparently she has mastered quantum physics in the 5 years Scott was gone. So she has built this fancy device that can map out the quantum realm from the outside. So how did a child who has little to no knowledge or experience working with complex advanced technology accomplish something this crazy? Well, you better stop asking those logical questions, you silly sausage. Don't you know that this is a Marvel movie? So after seeing this incredible device, Janet Van Dyne, Hank Pym's wife, starts acting very sus. It's almost like she's hiding something. So regardless of this, they decide to fire up the device, and oh no, something goes wrong and they are all sucked right into the quantum realm. So after a lot of exploring, world building, Janet finally reveals why she's been acting so jumpy when it came to the quantum realm. Apparently, while she was stuck in there for over 30 years, she ended up meeting a scientist who was also stuck in the quantum realm, and she agreed to help him fix his time-traveling spaceship so they could both escape together. When they finally did this, Janet used her mysterious quantum realm mind powers to find out that this man was none other than Kang the Conqueror, who was exiled to the quantum realm by the Council of Kangs. Janet then takes the power core. She uses her technology to make it unusable and keep Kang trapped in the quantum realm. But unfortunately, Janet had already helped Kang regain his suit and his powers, so he ended up conquering the quantum realm, and then he created his own kingdom with an army. So fast forward, we are now 30 years in the future, and it turns out that Kang was the reason why Cassie's device malfunctioned in the first place and sucked them all into the quantum realm. And why did he do this? Because apparently, Kang heard from someone that Scott Lang was a very good thief, and he needs him to steal the power core which Janet destroyed 30 years ago. So you may be wondering, who could possibly be down there in the quantum realm? Who knows of Scott Lang and his past as a thief? Well, it turns out our old pal Darren, you remember him, Darren from Ant-Man 1, he's down there in the quantum realm, and he's, how do I explain this? He's MODOK now for some reason. I really don't want to get into why Darren is MODOK now, but it's clear Marvel shoehorned him into this movie as an afterthought, to make the second half of this movie make any sense, because in the first part of this movie, Kang spent it trying to kill Scott Lang and his family when he apparently needed him to steal his power core thingy. But, let's keep this important thing in mind. This is a Marvel movie and things are not supposed to make sense. Anyway, so Kang tries to reason with Scott and get him to steal the power core for him. And then Scott, refuses to help him because he's evil, and yeah. And then he threatens to kill Cassie, and then, Scott immediately agrees to help. So Scott then heads into the time core. He performs, multi-shadow clone jutsu from Naruto, and then creates 1,000 clones of himself who help him to to get the power core back. And then Janet, Hank, and Hope, they show up in their new quantum spaceship and they rescue Scott. But Kang does a betrayal because he's evil, and then he still keeps Cassie in prison for literally no reason than to give Scott and the heroes a reason to come back and attack him. So we are all set up for the final fight now. So Scott goes very big and then comes to fight Kang. He does plenty destruction, and then Cassie, she has a suit now apparently, so she also gets real big and then she defeats MODOK. Then Hank Pym and his intelligent ants come to help in the battle, and they do a lot of damage to Kang, but Scott is not very strong, so he still gets the coins beaten out of him by a weakened Kang. Eventually Scott is able to defeat Kang, the quantum realm is set free, and the overall lesson we learned from this movie is don't be a dick. Rest in peace, MODOK. So after finishing this film, I've got to say, I didn't really think it was as bad as people were dunking on it for. Sure, most of the plots of this movie, made absolutely no sense. And the first half of the movie and the second half of the movie, it seems like they were put together last minute. But, regardless of that, it's not a bad movie. Compared to some of the absolute trash Marvel has put out in recent times, this was classic, good old, wholesome Marvel. One major standout from this movie was the performance of Jonathan Majors. Pun intended. His portrayal as Kang the Conqueror was incredible. We've already been introduced to Majors as Kang, in the Loki series. But unlike that Kang, or He Who Remains, this Kang is way more terrifying and way more evil. He Who Remains from Loki, he was just goofy and silly, and he seemed like, a guy who was just trying his best to prevent a multiversal war. But this Kang, he is a bad guy. He has killed so many people that when Scott Lang said he was an Avenger, Kang asked him if he has killed him before. Like, that's crazy. And the fact that both iterations of this character are played by the same actor is testament to the incredible acting skill of Jonathan Majors. So as you guys know, I wasn't the biggest fan of Phase 4 of the MCU. I made a video on this very channel criticizing some of the trash that Marvel decided to release over the past 2 years. However, Phase 4 of the MCU did bring us the Loki series, which is by far one of my favorite properties which Marvel has ever released. For all intents and purposes, Ant-Man 3 is the bridge between the first and the second season of the Loki series. And with He Who Remains dead at the end of season 1 of Loki and more Kang variants about to pop up, this movie was a good look into what a truly terrifying and evil Kang might look like. In Phase 5, we are going to be getting a new Captain Marvel movie, which I might or might not decide to see, depending on early reviews. Loki season 2, it's been incredible so far. It's been amazing, and it's actually the reason why I've gotten roped back into the MCU after taking a small break. We're also getting a new Echo series, a new Daredevil series, a new Captain America movie, a new Spider-Man movie, and a bunch of other shows and movies which I'll check out if they prove to be good and worth watching. There's actually a problem with Phase 5 going forward because of Jonathan Majors. He's wrapped up in this whole domestic abuse case with his ex-partner, and that puts his role as Kang the Conqueror going forward in jeopardy. To be truthful, I do think that this whole thing will be wrapped up with Majors being proved innocent because, this is Hollywood. But it remains to be seen whether Marvel would even want to work with him going forward, given this whole family-friendly Mickey Mouse brand they've cultivated over the years. This is a very big problem because as it stands, Kang the Conqueror has already been set up as the next Thanos, the next force of evil which is looming over the MCU. And this time, there are infinite versions of him, all played by Jonathan Majors. So recasting the role at this time and rewriting, Kang out of the MCU, it will not work. Please do not do that, Marvel. There have even been rumors going around that Marvel were considering replacing Kang with Doctor Doom as the next big bad in the MCU, but please don't do that, Marvel. That's an awful idea. It won't make any sense because as far as we know, the Fantastic Four don't even exist in this main 616 universe where all the movies have taken place so far. But Jonathan Majors and his portrayal as Kang the Conqueror, his different variants, has been incredible and it bodes well for the future of the MCU. But if they decide in the end to cut ties with him, that's when I begin to get very worried for the future of Marvel's cinematic universe. So remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video to as many people as you can. Anyone who you think might be interested in this topic, because it was a very interesting topic. I think so too. Yeah, so please share the video. You've been listening to Way Geekier, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.